What's up, everybody, and welcome back. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and today, LittleBigPlanet 3 gets spread just a little too thin for my taste. Okay, so welcome back to some regular news coverage. I hope that everybody had a really fantastic E3 for anyone who was lucky enough to be there and anyone else who was just at home, just like me, watching, streaming, getting excited, sharing ideas with friends, following stuff on YouTube and all the gaming websites covering the show. But of course, that's now past. We're back to some regular stuff. Today's a difficult day because I have to talk negatively about a game that I really, really am excited for. That is, of course, LittleBigPlanet 3. You may or may not have heard, but it was just confirmed today, Monday, June 16th, that LittleBigPlanet 3 will actually be also heading to the PlayStation 3 sometime in the near future. Now, it was just a tweet from a gentleman who works for the PR representative, I think for Sony, maybe for Media Molecule. His name is Stephen Isbell, and it's actually the games community coordinator, so he probably works for Media Molecule, is my guess. And he just made a tweet today responding to somebody, and he basically confirmed that the game is going to be coming to the PlayStation 3, like I said, in the near future, quote unquote. And so that kind of means that we don't know exactly what they're planning with the game, when they're planning to release it. The PS4 version of LittleBigPlanet 3 is coming to the PlayStation 4 right now, set for sometime in November. So that's one of the few big titles that Sony has coming out this year for the PS4, for their next generation system. And it's one of their storied franchises at this point. It was a huge brand new IP last generation for the PlayStation 3. It's a first/second party studio kind of game. It's, exclusive to Sony. I believe that they own Media Molecule. And so now we have the revelation that the game is going to be coming to PS3 at some point soon. And I gotta say that I just don't really love this idea. And it does come with the one asterisk in the sense that, hey, the more people who can play the game, the better. And I love the idea that coming to the PlayStation 3 means that the game is going to reach a lot more people. And maybe some people who would want to play it but don't have enough money to buy a PS4 or haven't done so yet will get to play it. Totally on board with that idea. So I definitely am glad that that is going to be one positive byproduct to this happening. However, it's kind of just furthering a lot of the things that is driving me crazy about this new generation. And this is really only specific to the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. Nintendo and the Wii U is not having this problem because the Wii was kind of defunct about a year or so before the Wii U even came out. And also because that was so underpowered compared to the other two last-gen platforms that the Wii is kind of, you can almost say it's 2 generations behind in technology compared to the Wii U. It's almost like they skipped a whole generation getting to the Wii U. So a lot of the games coming out for the Wii U just simply aren't going to be very feasible for the Wii, just because of that huge difference in power. Obviously, when you're looking at the PS3 and the 360 and comparing them to their respective new generation systems, the PS4 and the Xbox One, there's less of a graphical and technological leap from one to the other, from last gen to this gen. And so because of that, we're seeing this, what I consider at this point, this far into this new generation, a bad trend where so many games, more than probably 80-90% of the games coming out for specifically the PS4 and Xbox One are also coming out last gen for the PS3 and Xbox 360. And at first that was okay because there's always a little bit of overlap from one generation to the other. Even the Wii U saw it where it was getting games like Mass Effect 3 and Darksiders 2 and stuff like that early on, ports of last gen games. And that was fine. PS4 and Xbox One kind of had some of the same things with Call of Duty Ghosts and Battlefield 4 and things like that. So early, and Assassin's Creed, for all 3 of the next generation platforms, 3 and 4 actually. And so that's fine initially. But we're getting on in this generation, at least to the point where you guys, developers and people within the industry, you've got to let this last generation go. Not that I don't love it. The Wii and the PlayStation 3 got so much playtime for me, as well as the 360. I loved that last generation, what people call the 7th gen. Loved it to death. It did a lot of great, brand new, groundbreaking things, and there was some amazing titles across all 3 platforms. It was a good time in gaming. So those systems did amazingly well, and they did wonderful things for us, the gamer. But at some point, they've got to sing their swan song. We've got to be comfortable letting them go and just committing and dedicating to this next generation. I've been very vocal about Batman Arkham Knight, a game that has me very excited. And the fact that I absolutely love, at least as of right now, what I love is that it doesn't seem to be coming to the last generation platforms. It's only PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Regrettably, I don't see a Wii U version coming, which is sad because that's the version I would prefer to play. However, it's still at least only coming out for 2 of the 3 next-gen platforms. It's only coming out for next-gen. As of right now, there are no plans for a PS3 or a 360 version. Now, I do have to say, with the recent delay to 2015, there's a little kind of voice in the back of my head that's kind of saying, hey, that game might actually be getting delayed because they're going to eventually announce that it will be coming out for the last-generation platforms. And I actually think that, sadly, there's a pretty good possibility that that's what's going to happen. It is yet to be announced for last-gen, so I'm going to hold on to hope that it doesn't come out for last gen, and that Rocksteady is willing to just commit, just like everyone needs to eventually commit. Like, we're getting to this point. So anyway, I'm now tangenting a little bit, even though this was the point of the video. What I did want to talk about was LittleBigPlanet 3 specifically, because as I said in my top 10 games of E3, LittleBigPlanet 3 is massively exciting to me. I am a huge fan of the series. I love platformers and games just like that. And LittleBigPlanet, that series and franchise is some of the best within that respective genre ever that I've ever played. And so LittleBigPlanet 3 is, like I said, massively exciting for me. And I have to say a huge part of that excitement comes from the fact that it was, in my mind until today, a next generation, new generation LittleBigPlanet. That's what I want. Take full advantage of what this next generation is making available to you, and the PlayStation 4 and all of this stuff. Like, that's what you should be doing. And I did appreciate, incredibly so, how they're bringing the all the user-created, user-generated content from LittleBigPlanets 1 and 2 over to the PlayStation 4 version of LittleBigPlanet 3 with the updated graphics and stuff like that. Like, combining those user communities, wow, that was just the coolest thing, and I applauded Sony and Media Molecule for that big time. Very appreciative of that, and that makes me very excited. But at the same time, the announcement that this flagship, huge first party / second party, I'm not sure which it would be, first, exclusive IP series for Sony and the PlayStation 4, it's that the announcement that it's getting this last generation version is just like, I guess it's just kind of annoying, and it's just really furthering the trend that I don't think is a good one right now of this new generation. And like I said, it is very much more specific to Sony and Microsoft and not so much Nintendo. Nintendo has very much separated themselves. And I think that, they've made a lot of poor business decisions in the first year of the Wii U's life, but they're to the point where it's some of the smarter business decisions are finally starting to show up. And this is where a lot of what they've done is showing in the positive light, where their system doesn't really allow for this to be happening. The other two guys, not so much, And a huge part of it also a huge part of the blame, I should say, also goes to the developers of these games who are making these decisions. And I understand you're going to get more money and you're going to make it, you're going to be more successful or whatever because you can make more for the last generation versions. Like, I get that, and it is important, and this is a business, and I will never take this away from those people. They have to make money. They have to make the smart business plan, and so I get that. But at the same time, Sony and Microsoft need to really be saying, hey, we're going to make it worth your while to make it exclusive to our next-gen platform. And that's also going to then sell more of those next-gen platforms. And then eventually we need to get to the point where the install base of the PS4, Xbox One, and Wii U are so large that we don't need to give a shit about those previous systems. Like, they were amazing, but it's okay to put them to bed. Let's give them a rest. Let's let them go. Because games moving forward are going to continue to be held back by these last generation systems. That's why I think when I finally played Assassin's Creed 4, hoping that game was going to sway me to be a fan of that game, I wasn't really excited. It didn't really feel next gen to me. It didn't feel like an amazing Assassin's Creed game. It didn't do anything new to me. And I think that part of it is because it is held back by that previous generation. And there's tons of games, like Call of Duty and all the sports games and things like that. Yes, you can say, oh, we've got a team dedicated to the next gen platforms and yada yada. And yes, that's true, but I think they're still really building on the same assets being used to create the common denominator version, which is the last generation, lower technologically advanced systems that is creating that. So it's that's the foundation. And then they just slightly improve the assets to make the next gen quote unquote versions for the PS4, Xbox One, and Wii U. And that's cool in and of itself, but really it's not enough. Not at this point, not a year and a half into the Wii U's life cycle and over 6 months, 7, 8, 9 months getting on into the Xbox One and PS4's life cycle. So I don't know. I guess that's sort of, it was kind of more than just Little Big Planet. I guess I was talking about today. It is Little Big Planet. I do feel that the game is going to be fabulous regardless. I don't think that really that game is going to necessarily be bad because of this. I mean, I promise that's really not what I'm trying to say. And you know, the PlayStation 4 version is the one I would get. Like I now know I need a PS4, and that's one of the reasons. So forget the PS3 version of Little Big Planet 3. I'm not interested in that. I want the next gen version of your next gen game in your, you know, storied exclusive franchise. Like, I just think that that's such a shame that that's happening, you know. But again, I still do appreciate and give respect to the fact that people who wouldn't otherwise be able to play it will now get to. That's a good thing. That's a great series. The game's going to be amazing, so I want as many people to play it as possible, you know. But I still have to stick by my initial stance and say that it's too bad that they felt this game needed to be released on the PlayStation 3. It'll be really interesting to see if the game releases alongside of the PS4 version in November, or if they're going to try to, you know, give the PS4 some time, you know, a couple of months lead time, maybe after the new year they can release the PS3 version, and hopefully try to sell more of the PS4 version and use that game being exclusive to only the PS4 for a while to sell more PS4s. That would be very smart on Sony's part. So we'll see what they do. They've yet to say anything about the date. They're going to give us more soon in the next coming months, probably. My guess is probably that they're going to try to release them the same date, which is going to be a shame. But with any luck, that's wrong, and they'll do the PS4 version first and give that a good, 4, 5, 6 months or something. Probably won't be that long, but I guess we'll see. So anyway, I guess that's kind of my thoughts today. I hope that this trend, that we can really start to get to the end of this trend, because I think it's a bad thing. Let's let the 7th generation go. Let's commit and enjoy all of the new things that this new generation is offering to us. And let's just enjoy it for what it is. We have to move on at some point. There's nothing wrong with it. If this is really the 8th generation, then this is the 8th time we've all done this, correct? I'm one of the few gamers nowadays probably old enough to go back to the Atari 2600 days, and then when the NES and stuff came out, and lived through all that stuff from the Atari days into the 8-bit generation to the 16-bit generation to the 32-bit revolution to 64-bit to PS2, GameCube, Xbox to last gen to this gen. Like, I've seen all of these and experienced and lived through all of these transitions. And it happens. We let these things go. We have to do it. So let's go ahead. Let's make a solemn promise, developers. Let's just let those last generation systems go. Let's commit and enjoy these new systems, and let's see what happens. But at the end of the day, don't forget the most important point. Little Big Planet 3 is still definitely going to kick ass. Alrighty, guys. Well, that's it for Little Big Planet 3 stuff today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please feel free to subscribe, like, and share the video, and share your comments and your thoughts below. Thanks for tuning in, and of course, I will catch you next time.